a very small check than they are from, say, just a letter that gets sent to their office. That's going to stay in their mind a lot longer. Okay, going to a block association. So just a quick anecdote. The kind of people that go to block association meetings and go to community board meetings are the people who are embedded in the political life. I went to my Bed-Stuy Block Association the other night, and lo and behold, a local person who's running for office showed up, and we got to talk about animals. And now I'm going to be meeting with him next week to actually talk about helping him formulate his positions for when he starts to officially kick off his campaign. So, in short, making sure that you embed yourself in the local politics of your district. Next. Okay, so people ask all the time about social media. Make sure that if you are using it, that it is done not just broadly. You can see the one on the left. The reason that's a great tweet is because you're telling that elected official, Darlene Mealy, that you live in her district, where you live, and you're giving her something very specific that you want her to vote for, whereas the one on the right is just sort of generally yelling into the Twitterverse without any kind of controlled target. And reading list, of course, Julie's book, Get Political for Animals. As you can see, mine is completely tattered and glued and taped together. There's a reason for that. It's because it's like my Bible. Get this book, read it, and then pass it on to a friend. And of course, Rules for Radicals and Organizing for Social Change. Okay, and the way you can help us get off the ground, go to our website, sign up for email alerts, like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, make sure that you fill out the form today so that when we officially have the launch of Empire State Humane Voters in the next few months, you can come join us at our launch event. That's it.
Thank you. So before we open the conversation to all three panelists, Allie, could just stay put for 1 second. Does anyone have a specific question for Allie? I want to make sure that it's clear to Empire State Humane Voters is something that is a work in progress, and so as Allie mentioned at the end, the official launch is coming in the upcoming months, but there's been a lot of work and foundation laying so far, and it's an exciting time. It's going to be a game changer here in the city, so really excited about that. Question in the back. And I'll repeat the question, so if you could just direct it at me, I'll make sure everyone can hear. Okay.
What do you have going on out in Long Island? Do you have resources, candidates? You hear a lot about the city. I'm here from Long Island. So
okay, Allie, do you want to answer that? Okay, so this has to do with Long Island and the resources that are available there.
Sure. So I'm so glad you asked, because I would love to talk to you about helping us get a Long Island chapter off the ground.
I just emailed you.
Perfect.
Okay, and so I will ask one question of Allie before she leaves the podium, and she'll come over. You can come back down here, okay, and then I'll go up there. You mentioned a little bit about certain tactics, like going outside of a subway stop, if we can know where that legislator's subway stop is, or outside the office. And there is a lot of a heated debate about what's appropriate, what's effective in terms of use of time. And so there's been some recent stuff in the news, even with people out by the park by the carriage horses, and what's appropriate. So I was wondering if you could just speak. I mean, we are talking to citizen lobbyists here today, and we're talking predominantly about making yourself heard with legislators and making lawful, significant changes in the laws. Allie, if you could just talk a little bit, maybe a few caveats out there for our audience before we open up to broad questions.
Sure. So, again, I think that whatever you spend your time doing, you need to think about the broader target. I guess in terms of the sort of the protesting that has been going on at the Hack Line, I understand the frustration. I understand that there is a lot of anger out there. Certainly we all share that anger with the fact that carriage horses are still on the streets. But I think that rather than taking it out on the drivers or taking it out on de Blasio, we have to look inward into where our community needs to do better. Obviously, the strategy that we had been working up until recently hasn't been working. But that's exactly why we created Empire State Humane Voters, so that we could go back to the drawing board, figure out what it is we need to do to get into embedding ourselves in the fabric of the council districts of those who we need to support the issue. And the way to do that, to get to council members, is not by screaming at tourists at the hack line.
Right, and that goes for, you mentioned Barclay Center as well. So really, what we're trying to encourage here is giving you information to have respectful discourse and have an impact by really working with the system and the legislators who are on board and getting more of them in place to make those decisions,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
Great, thanks, Allie. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the podium right now. And we are going to take more questions from you for all three. Julie actually realized after she sat down that she had a couple of things that she wanted to discuss. I'm not going to pull back up your slide presentation, Julie, but I'm just going to give you an opportunity right now to say that thing that will eat away at you if you don't get to say it tonight.
Thank you so much. I realize now why I didn't use up all my time, because I skipped over in my trigger finger or something, skipped over a couple of slides. And one of them is about, and Allie alluded it to, is, so who are all these people? I'm saying we're going to get out the vote. We're going to sign up all these people. Well, how do we get them to do that? Well, you motivate, most people don't vote. You motivate people to vote by connecting voting with what's important to them. And we all know how many people that, maybe take their grandkids to the circus with elephant acts, eat veal, buy their puppies, God knows where, but you mention, or they, a cruelty case, or just mention something about chained up dogs, and they go, right? They go, oh, I can't stand it. Well, those are our people. It's quantity over quality. I'm an abolitionist, but on election day, my vote doesn't matter any more to the lawmaker than that person, right? And we get people, okay, most people don't vote. We get them into the habit of voting. And just like other issue groups, they will begin to get in the habit of voting, and they will start looking forward to getting our endorsement information and delaying making a decision on whom they're going to vote for until they get it. That's what every one of these other issue groups does. There's no reason in the world that we can't do that, okay? And I also wanted to say that, Empire State is a brand new group, so help it get off the ground. Don't just recruit, please have high expectations of yourself for recruiting people. Everyone go through your contact list, anyone in the state, and contact Allie and ask her, like you did, what can I do to help you? What do you need of me? Huh?
A lot.
Really? So, it's not just, that will help get Humane Voters, Empire State, into a household recognizable name like PETA, okay? And a C4, just one more thing about the advantages as a C4. They lobby, they endorse, but they can also legally grassroots organize. Okay, that's it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so we do have a few minutes. I'd like to take some questions from the audience. Yes?
Make a request, maybe if you'd be open to it, post the PowerPoints on the Facebook event, because it'd be nice to have access to some of the links.
Sure.
If you're open to it.
Okay, that would have to be something that the speakers would have to agree to, but certainly if they're open to having that widely available, we'll try to get it up there. Thank you for the suggestion. Yes?
Candidates were animal friendly, and I couldn't find any for some reason. So I wonder if there's a website or if any of your organizations actually have some type of resource or tool online that will aid people like myself and my friends.
Sure. So your question is, where do you go to find out who is the animal friendly legislator for you? Brian, do you want to?
The HSUS, we mostly monitor, we have a scorecard for elected officials at the federal level. For the local level, Allie, you know, this might be something as we start to organize. Allie is probably someone who could answer at the city council level. If you wanted to reach out to me personally, I can give you my observations on the state level. So I wish that there was a more codified thing that you could just go straight to, but also keep in mind, it does take money and resources to put these things together. And though HSUS or the ASPCA, we are the larger organizations, it's difficult for us to allocate, hey, you know, what is the best use of what we're going to do? Is it to lobby a particular law? Is it to go out and rescue this group of animals? So while the HSUS has a scorecard for our federal officials, I think for state, I would say to contact me personally, and with Allie's permission, well, without her permission, I'll just say contact Allie.
Okay, so that's exactly what ESHV is created for. So the first steps in that process is that's loud. The first steps in that process are that we're going to be looking at the voting records of the existing city council and the state legislature, and we're going to be posting. We're going to be posting that on our website and also emailing it around to everybody on our list. That in and of itself is a huge incentive for elected officials to start voting the right way, because they're going to know that everything that they do is going to be basically open. That's like what I said before, where sunshine is the best disinfectant. From those scorecards and from doing endorsement questionnaires of the candidates, that's how we decide who to endorse, and that's also going to be available on our website and also sent out widely on social media and to our email list, which is why we talk so much about recruitment, because the larger our list is, the broader reach our endorsements are going to have. And so the more and more voters we can influence, which makes this even more of a, I guess I don't want to say threat, but yeah, a threat to elected officials and candidates.
A useful instrument for them to use. So yeah, so HSUS for federal, and then Empire State Humane really is going to probably fill in a much needed area of information by you know, additional state information and then more local information. So you can watch for that. Next question over there in the back. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Allie, one of the bills was for the outdoor animals being tied up. Can you just quickly tell me where we are with that bill?
So the question is about the current bill on the tethering laws, yes?
Yes, so that was, I think, Intro 1265 or 1365 that deals with leaving your pets outside when it's extremely hot or cold. It's been introduced, it's been referred to a committee, but it hasn't come up for a hearing yet.
Okay. Next question? I'm right here.
This actually just goes back to the question right before, and I just thought about it. There was something called the League of Humane Voters, which I thought was a group that would say, oh, these are the people you should vote for. Do they not? Are they not sponsor? They don't?
There's still different chapters.
Their League of Humane Voters does exist.
Let's just make sure everyone in the room can hear. So the question is, where are the League of Humane Voters, if they're still around? Does somebody, Joyce, do you want to answer that?
My answer was incorrect. I was talking about League of Humane Voters New York City, but Allie, if you could, Brian, if you want to answer that.
Yeah, sure. So they do still exist. They're very much supportive of what Empire State Humane Voters is doing. The difference is that it's not, you know, they're as active as they can be. They're all volunteer run. You know, I'm doing this full time. And they're very much supportive of what we're doing because they see that Empire State Humane Voters is going to be able to take this to the level that LOHV wasn't able to because of sort of lack of resources or lack of having people do this full time, which is why they actually gave me permission to use the name Empire State Humane Voters.
Thank you. Okay, let's do 2 more questions, and then we did start a little late, I realize. I'm sure that our speakers, if they can, will hang out and answer a few more questions, but I don't want to hold everybody up. We appreciate your time. I'll take this question over here.
Thank you. I recently joined the Chelsea Democratic Reform Club, and they don't even acknowledge animal issues. issues.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's something that I would like to bring up with them. Now, is there a way to find out like which bills are being voted on when, so that I'm not just flooding them with all of these different things that, you know, these different issues that need to be discussed
And you're talking about on the city level?
on the city level?
Yes. Okay, so we'll let Allie take that question because she's the city girl.
Sure. So for one, you know, her question is that she recently did join her Democratic Club, which bravo to you. That's an awesome first step. And we should definitely talk afterwards because it's a really important council district. And her, you know, she was saying that nobody in the club is really an animal person. That's exactly why we want you guys to join your Democratic clubs, because you can become the animal protection guru in your local Democratic club, and you're going to meet so many other politicos through that club that you're going to grow your sort of sphere of influence. And from going to those meetings, you're going to meet district leaders, you're going to meet staffers, you're going to meet appointees and whatnot. And if you stick with the club for many years, you'll see sort of the revolving door of people that go in and out of city politics. So definitely stick with it, because there are going to be times when we're going to have a bill, let's say the circus bill, and we really need a legislator to vote for it. And we're going to say, hey, who's in this district that we know that's really involved? And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Kathy, and we'll say, oh, Kathy's in the Chelsea Reformed Democratic Club. Let's call her up and see if maybe she can help us work on council member so-and-so to get their vote. I wouldn't recommend just sort of blindly listing out all the animal issues to an elected official or to your Democratic club. I would spend that time getting to know the members of the club, working on their issues so that way they're more likely to reciprocate. And then when we have sort of inflection points where we need to make a big push, then we can come to you and say, okay, Kathy, now's when you want to really push in your Democratic club. Yeah, he's great.
Okay, great. One more question for the big blower. Yes, you, please. Sure.
I'm pretty puzzled because I get a lot of emails about issues that are important to me. And one that I get is from something called Save Animals Facing Extinction. And they're always wanting me to chip in $5, $20, $30 for the elephants, or lions, or whoever it is. When I went on Charity's Navigator to look them up, there's no information at all. And so I can't even find out if they are a 501c4, so they're not required to show anybody how they spend their money.
What is the name of the organization?
Save Animals Facing Extinction. So I called the Charities Trust Bureau, and I filed a petition, and they wrote back to me, and they said, well, they're actually based in Washington, and so they just referred them. But what troubles me is this whole business of a 501c4. There's no accountability as to how a charity then spends its money. Does every nickel they get just go to their offices? What is a person to do?
Somebody, do one of our panelists, Julie, do you want to address that?
I would just say that,
Here you go.
what are your, oh, sorry, I forgot. What are your priorities? And if you know the people like Allie, and she's got a lot of important people like Sharon behind her, then you can have trust, or you can ask for information. And with a C4, there's nothing wrong with all the money going to the office, because a C4 is not out there saving animals. They're spending money on staff, lobbying, and grassroots organizing. So yeah, it's a concern, but you know, Allie will show you the books, right?
Of course. I'll show you our massive, massive books right now. But no, in all seriousness, you can actually...
Well,
I think you can pull up the 990 of any organization through the state, usually through a state charities bureau or through the Department of State. You should be able to pull up their 990.
Right, there's a transparency requirement, so you will have access to that.
To what state?
To the 990, to their report, so we'll have all the listing of their budget.
Go to New York State Charities Bureau would probably be a good start, and you can look.
Because they're based in Washington, they couldn't file a complaint.
then perhaps stick with the organizations you know.
Yes. Okay, so, and that's always right. There are so many organizations out there, and so like any other endeavor, one of the rules is do your homework and figure out what's going on with that organization and see the work that they're doing, take a look at their books, take a look at their numbers, and you know, there's so many people out there doing great work, and so there's always the challenge of just figuring out which ones we're going to spend our own time, money, and energy getting involved in. So I was just telling somebody, I just came back from India a couple of weeks ago, and a fellow traveler with me, we saw a lot of street dogs. It's certainly not the first time I encountered street dogs, but we did see a particular group of puppies, and so through GoFundMe, we were able to come right back here, and she set it up, and we already raised the money pretty quickly to save that very specific group. So we couldn't save all the street dogs there, certainly in India during our time, but you know, we were able to focus our effort and make that happen. And so that was a very, very small but very clear example about how, you know, we can make a difference and we can reach out and we can always be expanding our own network. And it really is just a matter of getting other people to get aware. I'm a big believer, I know I speak personally not on behalf of the committee, but you know, when people learn and people become aware, they do good things. People want to do the right thing. And so it's not a matter of coercing people to help you to help the animals. It really is a matter of just helping people figure out how they can help animals and then doing our part to do that. I want to thank everyone here for their time. I know there's tons of questions. You have the email addresses for these speakers. If they can hang out, they probably will for a few minutes. There's just so much to talk about, never mind the specific legislature initiatives that are going on that maybe you want to get involved in. Please reach out to these speakers, whether it's on the state or the local level, or Julie for other pointers about how to be a stronger advocate for the animals. Thanks to my committee members that helped set this program up this evening and organize it. Thank you to the New York City Bar Association, as always. And with that, we will say have a great evening. Go out there, get busy.